Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Hello everyone! Welcome to our today's session. I hope that everyone is ready to hear and gain information to this webinar. In this webinar, we will discuss about the creating a positive school culture, school policies and their functions, and also the roles and competencies of a school head. Before we go on to our discussion, let me first introduce to you our very own speakers. They are Riziel Ann Ozenia, Miss Vanessa Paula del Santos, Miss Rachel Bonita, Miss Sheryl Ann Fababair, Miss Joycee, Miss Maria Cristina Pelagio, Miss Lalaine Cornejo, and also Miss Alma Roduta. I know that everyone is now excited to this discussion, that's why we should start. Let us all welcome our first speaker, a student from Colegio ng Lungsod ng Lipa, Miss Sheryl Ann Ozenia, to share with us the meaning of a school culture, culture as a social construct, school climate change and school culture, and also the role of a school culture in learning. Thank you. I am Miss Riziel Ann Ozenia to tackle the meaning of school culture, culture as social construct, school climate change and school culture, and the role of school culture in learning. So first, what is the meaning of school culture? School culture is one of the most complex and important concepts in education. It generally refers to the beliefs, perceptions, relationships, attitudes, written and unwritten rules that shape and influence every aspect of how a school functions. However, the term also encompasses more concrete issues such as the physical and emotional safety of students, the orderliness of classroom and public spaces, or degree to which a school embraces racial, ethnic, linguistic, and cultural diversity. So that means school culture is one of the important concepts in education. Ibig sabihin, ang school culture ay parang yung pinaka-standard na sinusunod ng mga tao na under ng school, katulad na lamang ng mga students, teachers, and the faculty members. Kumbaga, may mga sinusunod silang rules na nakasulat at hindi nakasulat, na kung saan ay dito mapapanatili yung mga orderliness o kaayusan ng sistema ng school. Kumbaga, ay to yung humuhubog sa pagkatao ng mga estudyante, ang school culture, na kung saan may mga policy sila na dapat sundin ng mga mag-aaral. The second is culture as a social construct. Culture is a social construct, not a genetic construct. This means that school culture is, therefore, something that we do not inherit or pass on through the genes. Rather, it is something that we create and shape. It is shaped by everything that all people in school see, hear, feel, and interact with. It is a creation of a school head, teachers, parents, non-teaching, staff, students, and community. So it means culture is socially constructed. Why? Dahil ito yung pinagkakasunduan ng mga tao o isang grupo. Halimbawa na lamang ay hindi ito katulad ng tradisyon, na kung saan ang tradisyon natin sa ating buhay ay yung mga minanapan natin sa ating mga ninuno. Kunyari ay pag magmamano, yun ay minana lang natin sa ating mga ninuno. Pero ang school culture ay dito yung napagkasunduan na talagang gawin sa ating kasalukuyan o gawin ng mga tao sa kasalukuyan. The third is school climate and school culture. How does school climate differ from culture? These terms are frequently used interchangeable, but school climate is more rational. It is illustrated by the attitudes and behavior of the school staff, and it is focused on the style of the school's organizational system. School climate refers to the school's effects on students, including teaching practices, diversity, and the relationships among administrators, teachers, parents, and students. School climate is driven by the reflected in daily interactional of staff, administrator, faculty, student support staff, and the outside community. While the school culture is a deeper level of reflection of shared values, beliefs, and traditions between staff members. School culture refers to the way teachers and other staff members work together and the set of beliefs, values, and assumptions they shared. School culture is a broader term, and so it's inclusive of school culture. Dito, ang school climate naman ay ito yung pinakalilikhang effects ng mga taong bumubuo sa school. Halimbawa na lamang ay kung ang mga tao ay mababait. Ang mga malilikha nilang school climate ay maganda kasi lahat sila o halos sa kanila ay mababait. Kumbaga nakadepende ang school climate kung kanino o sino ang bumubuo ng school. Samantalang ang school culture naman ay katulad lamang ng sinabi ko kanina, na ito yung parang pinaka-standard na sinusunod ng mga taong under ng school, katulad na lamang ng students, teachers, and faculty members, na kung saan ang school culture ang humuhubog sa pagkatao ng mga estudyante o mag-aaral. The last one is the role of school culture in learning. School culture matters. Research confirms the central role of culture to school success. School culture can be positive or negative or toxic. A positive school culture fosters improvement, collaborative decision-making, professional development, and staff and student learning. A negative culture fosters the opposite. The role in school culture in learning is yung pagkakahubog ng mga mag-aaral bilang isang tao. Halimbawa na lamang ay kung toxic ang school culture na pinagmulan sa isang paaralan ay magiging toxic din ang mga estudyante dito, na dapat ay hindi ganun dahil bawat school ay may mga culture na sinusunod, may mga alituntunin at mga policy or rules na dapat sundin ang isang mag-aaral. Kaya dapat kung ang school culture ay maayos, ang mga estudyante o mag-aaral ay magiging maayos at hindi kakalabasan ang pagiging toxic. That's all for today. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Riziel Ann. And now, to continue the discussion, let us all welcome a student from Cornejo ng Luzon, Miss Vanessa Paula de los Santos. She will discuss to us the elements of a positive culture.
Good day everyone, I'm Vanessa, Paula, and Santos, and I'm here to share about the elements of a positive culture. Elements of a positive culture. As a given in the activity phase of the lesson, a positive culture climate is characterized by the following. First, collegiality. Second, experiment. Third, high expectation. Fourth, trust and confidence. Fifth, tangible support. Sixth, reaching out to knowledge base. And seventh, appreciation and recognition. Eighth, caring, celebration, and humor. Number 9, involvement in decision making. 10, protection of what is important. 11, traditions. And 12, honest and open communication. First, we have the collegiality. The school atmosphere is friendly. You work in an atmosphere where responsibility and authority are shared by everyone. You can be yourself. You have not to put your best forward to impress others. The school head does not throw his or her weight. He or she does not make his or her authority felt by his or her colleagues. When we say collegiality, it means that teachers help each other and work together. And teachers believe that they can learn from colleagues and confident that they have knowledge to share too. The second, experimentation. When we say experimentation, the atmosphere encourages experimentations and so will welcome mistakes as parts of the learning process. No student, no teachers gets punished for a mistake. Mistakes are not intended. They give a lot of lesson. Referring to his 10,000 failed attempts, then he was experimenting in the light bulb. Edison said that, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. It means that experimentation or the faculty feel encouraged to experiment new ideas and techniques. And faculty are moved to always look for more effective ways of teaching. Number 3 is high expectation. When we say a high expectation, it has been said one's level of achievement is always lower than one's level that aspiration. So set high expectations for high achievement. Two problems arise here, according to Robert J. Marzano warned us. First, expectation is subtle and difficult to change. Teachers may be unaware that they have low expectations for some students. Even when they become aware, they may have difficulty changing their expectation because their beliefs and biases have developed over the years. Second, what actually communicates expectations to students is teachers' behavior. If teachers consciously work to change their biases but don't change their behavior toward those students from whom they have intended to expect less, their change of attitude will have little effect on student achievement. When we say high expectation, it says that teachers are held accountable to standards of practice, and teachers are expected to practice collegiality and to work together to continually grow as educators. 4. Trust and confidence. Students, teachers, school heads, and parents relate well and work well when relationships are solidly built on trust and confidence. It says that trust and confidence, teachers believes that parents and leadership trust their professional judgment and commitment to improve. And teachers are encouraged to bring new ideas and have reasonable autonomy around instructional planning and purchasing of resources. And the fifth element of positive culture is tangible support. Tangible support is everyone in the school community gets concrete support for the good that they do. Support comes in not just in words but in action. School heads sees to it that LCDs in the classroom are functioning. It says that leaders give time and attention to the growth and development of teachers, and leaders give effective feedback, while the teachers are not afraid to ask questions and have what they need to teach. Next, we have the reaching out to the knowledge base. Teachers care to grow professionally to update themselves on content, knowledge, and pedagogy. the first domain in the Philippine professional standards for teacher. It says that teachers believe that the school wants them to continue growing and wants them to observe peers and invest in creative ways to facilitate learning from others. The next element is appreciation and recognition. It's certainly words of appreciation and recognition make classroom climate highly favorable. A reminder to teachers that you are not made less when you praise others. Instead, you become magnanimous, so don't be stingy with your sincere praise. The problem sometimes is our eyes are so quick to see the negative and so we despise them immediately, but our eyes are blinded to the good and so we overlook them and fail to appreciate. Teachers believe that at this school, good teaching is honored and recognized and people take time to recognize their work and notice the good job they do and they take time to recognize others. Next element is caring, celebration, humor. It says that kids don't care what you want until they know that you care. They don't listen to teacher when teacher doesn't care. It may be good to remind teachers that many of students, especially those who struggle, don't receive nearly enough positive feedback in the classroom or in their personal lives. It says that as a faculty, we take time to show our care for each other and we have little ways of showing support throughout the year. Next is involvement in decision making. Involving others who are concerned with the decisions to be made enhances sense of ownership. They also feel important. Teachers feel that people take time to listen to them. Maybe they don't make all decisions, but their input is important. So feel part of the process and their concerns and struggles are treated in a serious manner. Next element is protection of what is important. What schools consider important must form part of their tradition and so must be protected by all means. In the activity above, mention was made on school canteen policies and that include no soft drink, no chocolate, etc. and Claygo because the school considers nutrition and health and cleanliness as important. And according to teachers believe that the time they spend with students is protected and valued. Their time on non-teaching duties is valued and the strategies are in place to protect the time. The next element is tradition. A school must have an intentional, culture-based program on shared values, beliefs, and behaviors. This strength, sense of community, a truly positive school culture is not characterized by simply by the absence of gangs, violence, or discipline problems, but also by the presence of a set of norms and values that focuses school community's attention on what is important and motivate them to work hard toward a common purpose. And teachers believe that school events leave them feeling that they belong to the special community. Traditions allowed everyone to stay connected as a community. And the last element is honest and open communication. No one gets ostracized for speaking up his mind. The atmosphere is such that everyone is encouraged to speak his mind without fear of being ostracized. The agreement at every discussion is agree to disagree. And teachers own responsibility for their communications. Teachers strive to speak to colleagues and administrators directly or tactfully when they have a concern, and feel that these agreements are resolved in a constructive manner, and feel criticism is an opportunity for self-improvement. And now we will talk about the shared norms, teacher and student norms. Shared norms for both teacher and students contribute to a positive school culture. Bsed and Larmer 2018 share teacher norm and student norm to contribute to a fair and an engaging learning environment, a characteristic of a positive school culture, and they check on the following norms each week.
Thank you to our speaker. And another one to continue. Let us all welcome Miss Rachel Bonita from Colegio ng Luzon na Lipa to share with us the shared norms, teacher and student norms.
Good day, I am Rachel Bonita from Bsed 3A major in Filipino from Colegio ng Luzon ng Lipa, and I'm your speaker for today. Today, I tackled about shared norms, teacher and student norms. Shared norms both of teachers and students contribute a positive school culture. According to Bsed and Larner 2018, shared teacher norm and students norm to contribute to a fair and an engaging environment, a characteristics to a positive school culture. According to them, shared norms both of teachers and students contribute and mold a positive school culture. So, they check on the following norms each week. So, we can start from the teacher's norms. First, teach in different ways. Teachers must teach in different ways by using their own strategies to give some knowledge and to gain the knowledge of their students. Second, call students by their names. As a respect, teachers must call the students by their names. Sometimes gumagamit pa tayo ng Mr. or Miss para mas mapakita natin yung paggalang natin sa kanila. Pangatlo, care about students' feelings. So teachers was the second parent of the students who were responsible to give care of the feelings of their students. So, like understand the situation. Sometimes, students have their own problems that affects in their studies. The teachers was the one who make a way para mapagaan yung kanilang loob upang di nila maramdaman na walang may pakialam sa kanila. Next, have a good attitude. So teachers must have good attitude. They stay calm and explain properly. They use kind words even though na nakakainis na o nakakaasar na. Dito din papasok yung patience na kung saan ay pagpapasensyahan mo talaga yung mga moment na nakakainis or nakaka-stress. And also, teachers always greet the students and say goodbye. Hindi yung basta aalis na lang after the class. Next, help students to understand. Like, work at a reasonable place which the students gain their knowledge at yung may connection doon sa discussion. Second, explain clearly about the lesson na hindi nila maintindihan o malabo para sa kanila. Also, support different learning styles na kung saan ay komportable ang student at doon sa mas marami silang matututuhan. Makakatulong din sa students upang maunawaan ang expect the best. Hindi yung okay na to, okay na yan, okay na yung ganito, okay na yung ganyan. No, not that. At kung sakali na hindi nila maunawaan agad-agad sa unang paliwanagan, re-explain if necessary upang mas maunawaan nila ang kanilang gagawin. Attend school majority of the time. As a teacher, be a good role model for your students. Next, be respectful. Give everyone what they need. Give what they want, like knowledge that they deserve. And again, use proper language na kung saan ay mas maiintindihan nila lahat ng iyong sinasabi. Next is, allow space if needed. Kung sakali na hindi nauunawaan, give some time and after a minute, just try again. Use supportive words when explaining. Kasi may mga lessons talaga na hindi natin maintindihan sa unang turo. Kaya kinakailangan pa ng another example or another terms para mas maunawaan natin ang isang lesson. Call by your name. So, kaya nga gumagamit ng ma'am and sir para tawagin ang isang teacher. And last is have a growth mindset na makakatulong sa pagpapaunlad ng abilities at skills ng mga students. And now, we jump to the students' norms. Number 1, have a growth mindset. So, hindi lang naman teacher ang kinakailangan ng magkaroon ng growth mindset. So, as a students, we need to have a growth mindset. Like, we should to believe that we can improve ourselves in terms of our abilities, our skills, or even though our talents. Next, fail forward. Our failure reserves us our motivation and inspiration to continue to fight. Next, keep trying until we reach our goals and achieve our success. And speak positively about your abilities learned. Hindi yung sasabihin mo na hindi mo to naiintindihan. Be confident na naintindihan mo tong bagay by your own. So, as a respect, call your classmates by their names. So, don't use another names to make them offended. Next, be responsible for your work. First, have materials ready to help you for doing your work. Second, advocate yourself to finish your work. And be professional and be responsible. Hindi nyo lang na-meet yung expectations nyo is magkakagulo na kayo. Always meet deadlines to avoid late submissions and always participate. And be on time to class. Number 4, listen. Listening helps you to gain knowledge. So, listen to your teachers, to the guests, to your classmates. And most important, listen to the direction that we may follow. Next, attend school the majority of the time to gain knowledge and avoid being late to the lesson that discussed that day. Next, be a good team player, like providing good, helpful feedback that helps to others. Next, stay calm always. Kasi wala namang magiging magandang output kung lagi mong sasabayan ng init ng ulo. And encourage others para gumawa ng mga output at maging masipag. Stay on topic. Don't make any distraction na makakapagpalayo sa discussion sa topic. And be considerate. Dapat tumatanggap ka lagi ng pagkakamali or tumatanggap ka ng opinion ng iba. At ito na naman, use proper language na kung saan ay mas maiintindihan nga nakakarami ang iyong mga sinasabi. And last, communicate clearly to students and teacher to avoid misunderstanding and misinterpretation. So, that's all. I hope marami kayong natutunan sa ating mga pinag-usapan. Again, I am Riziel Bonita from Bsed 3A, major in Filipino from Cornejo ng Luzon.
That was an interesting discussion, and I hope that all listeners and viewers are still there. Now, let's move with the other topic. Let's now welcome Ms. Maria Cristina Pelagio to discuss the policy in student absences and tardiness, DepEd Order 54-2009, and the policy in collection if contribution.
Good day, everyone. I'm your speaker in this time of webinar. For those who's listening and watching in our webinar via Zoom or FB Live or our YouTube channel, hello, everyone. But before first I start in this webinar, I want to ask you a question. Are you happy in this day and in this time? Just comment I'm happy and strong person in our comment box or chat box in our Apple Live or YouTube channel or in this via Zoom. Even in this time of pandemic, nais kong ipaabot sa inyo na sana'y nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan ang bawat isa sa inyo na nanonood at nakikinig sa ating webinar na ito. Kung masaya at maayos ang kalagayan nyo sa oras na ito, ay ipagpatuloy nyo lamang. At kung hindi naman, kung may mga pagsubok o problema kayong kinakaharap, ay bumangon, magpatuloy, lumaban dahil malalampasan din natin ito. But before I start in our webinar, I'll introduce myself to you as your speaker in this time. I'm Maria Cristina B. Pelagio, 21 years old, and I'm graduating senior high school at LCC Silvercrest Senior High School, year 2017-2018. And I'm currently a third-year college student at Cornejo ng Lungsod ng Lipa. And my program taken is College of Teacher Education. My course is Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Filipino. But before we start in this webinar, magkakaroon muna tayo ng isang palaro. Para naman magkaroon kayo ng ideya sa ating pag-uusapan sa webinar na ito. Ang pamagat ng larong ito ay 4 Pick 1 Word. Maaaring i-comment nyo sa comment section o sa chat box via FB Live or sa Zoom or YouTube channel yung mga sagot nyo sa bawat bilang ng ating mga larawan na ipapakita ko sa inyo, right? Okay. But before I start, I have a questions to you. For you, ano ang kahalagahan ng polisiya para sa inyo? Marapat bang sundin ng mga polisiya sa iba't ibang institusyon? Ano ang kahalagahan ng pagsunod sa mga polisiya? At epektibo ba ang pagkakaroon ng polisiya sa isang institusyon? For those who's listening and watching in this webinar via Zoom or FB Live or our YouTube channel, you can comment your answer in our chat box or comment box. Meron tayong mga audience na in-invite na gustong magbahagi ng kanilang kasagutan sa mga tanong na ibinigay natin kanina.
Hello, ako po si Iris Marian D. Borillo from LCC Silvercrest Junior High School, grade 9 student. Anong pagpapakahulugan ko sa polisiya? Ang polisiya ay ang mga kautusan na ipinapatupad. Ito ay maaaring mga batas or ordinansa na mayroong ang isang bansa, pamayanan at iba pa. Ito ay pinapatupad upang magkaroon ng kaayusan. Layunin nito na magkaroon ng kabutihang panlahat sa isang pamayanan. Ang polisiya ay dapat nating sundin bilang isang mamamayan at isang tao.
Angelica A. Navarro from Batangas State University, taking Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, major in Human Resource Management. Ano ang kahalagahan ng pagsunod sa pulisiya? Nagkakaroon ng kaayusan at kapayapaan sa lipunan. Nagiging ligtas ang bawat isa. Naiiayon ang aksyon ng bawat isa. Upang malaman ng mga tao ang limitasyon ng bawat isa at malaman nila kung ano-ano ang mga bawal at hindi. Upang malaman ang karapatan at kahalagahan ng bawat isa. Ang pagsunod sa mga alituntunin at patakaran ay ating tungkulin bilang mamamayan. Sa pagsunod, malilinang ang katangiang mapagpakumbaba, magalang at responsable. Sa kabilang banda, ang hindi pagsunod sa mga patakaran ay palatandaan ng rebelyosong ugali at katigasan ng ulo.
Hello, ako nga pala si Sheryl Ann Alcantara. Napasok sa Lipa City College bilang senior high school at grade 12 student graduating. Ano ang kalagahan ng pagsunod sa mga pulisya? Para sa akin po, mahalaga ang pagsunod sa mga patakaran o alituntunin ng isang institusyon dahil dito nakikita ko ang mga dapat at di dapat gawin sa isang lugar. Nagkakaroon tayo ng kamalayan ng sundin ang mga patakaran na ito upang maging maayos at matiwasay ang ating pamayanan. Dahil kung hindi natin pahalagahan ng mga pulisyang ito, ay maaring magkagulo sa ating pamayanan na binubuo at iniingatan. Thank you po.
Ako si Lorena May Era Kuya, nag-aaral sa Kolehiyo, Lungsod ng Lipa. Ang aking kursong kinukuha ay Bachelor of Communication Arts. Epektibo ba ang pagkakaroon ng pulisiya sa isang institusyon? Opo, epektibo ang pagkakaroon ng pulisiya sa isang institusyon upang malaman natin ang mga patakaran na dapat at di dapat sundin ng mga tao. Katulad na lang po sa paaralan, dapat sundin natin ang pagsusuot ng ID, lalong-lalo na sa loob ng campus at magsuot rin ng proper uniform.
So we will start our webinar this time. And my webinar is all about the school policies and their functions. Schools are institutions motivated by a shared vision. Necessarily, school must have policies for them to realize their vision and mission. These policies are a reflection of the values of the people who created them. Ginawa ang mga policies para sa school para maipakita ang kahalagahan ng vision and mission. Ito ring mga policies na ito ang magiging refleksyon ng values ng mga taong gumawa nito. Ang mga pulisiya na ginawa ng school head ay hindi lamang para sa ikagaganda ng school. Ginawa ito upang mapabuti ang pagtuturo at pagkatuto ng mga estudyante. Ang isang rason kung bakit nabubuhay ang isang paaralan. For me, as a student, wala namang masama kung susundin natin yung mga patakaran o mga rules and regulations sa pinatutupad ng ating schools. Kasi bilang isang estudyante, dapat matuto tayong sumunod sa mga binibigay na patakaran o pulisiya ng isang institusyon. Right? Hindi ko sinasabi ng mabait o masunurin akong isang estudyante. Kasi in the first place, dapat sinusunod naman talaga natin ang mga palisiyan na pinatutupad ng schools. Yung pagsusuot na lamang ng school ID, pagsusuot ng proper uniform, sa mga simpleng bagay na gagawa natin, paano pa kaya yung mas malaking bagay? Pero hindi naman talaga maiiwasan na may mga kabarkada o talagang may mga estudyante talaga na hindi sumusunod sa mga policies ng school. Right? Pero kung titingnan, bilang isang estudyante, kaya nga tayo pumapasok sa paaralan kasi dapat matuto tayo ng magandang pag-uugali. Doon nalilinang yung magagandang pag-uugali ng isang estudyante. Tinitingnan ng mga schools, ng school head, kung paano sundin ng estudyante yung mga rules and regulations na pinapatupad nila. And here is the first policy that we must know being as students. The policy on grading by the DepEd Central Office in DepEd Order 8, Series 2015, dated April 1, 2015. In this table, you can see the weight components for grade 1 to 10. Ito yung ginagamit public o private schools man. In this component, you will find the various requirements for us to be aware of the paperwork we do in our classroom, like written works, which will be the basis of the teacher how we compose the paragraphs, put correct punctuation, and especially that is the grammar we use. in the written works, hindi lang naman doon tinitingnan ng guro yung sa mga punctuations lang, yung sa mga paggawa lang ng paragraph. May mga iba't ibang klase tayo ng written works na ginagawa. At ito ay kasama sa pagko-compute ng ating magiging grado. Pero, for example, sa Filipino, sa asignaturang Filipino, halimbawa, pinagawa ka ng liham, doon makikita ng guro kung marunong kang gumawa ng liham. Kung paano mo ilagay ang mga bantas, kung paano mo ilagay saan ilalagay ang malaki at maliit na titik, kung paano mo uumpisahan ang ginawa mong liham. Doon makikita ng guro kung may natutunan ka ba sa mga tinuturo niya, sa mga written works na ginagawa mo. Right? The second component is the performance task, which is usually the largest percentage in our grade. Because here, the teacher observes the skills and talents that the student has. For example, in the subject na MAPE, maaaring mailabas mo ang talento mo sa music, sa arts, at PE na makikita ng guro na ang batang to magaling palang magsayaw, magaling palang gumuhit, magaling mag-drawing, madaling kumanta, na may talento pala siyang tinatago na ganito, na maaari natin tong ipanlaban sa iba't ibang schools or programs na sasalihan ng schools. Lalo na sa role-playing, doon makikita ng guro, magbibigay ang guro ng sitwasyon kung saan ang mga estudyante ang gagawa ng hakbang o paraan kung paano nila maipapakita ng maayos, kung paano nila maire-representa ng maayos sa guro ang kanilang ginawang role-playing. Kasi walang masama na ipakita mo yung talento na meron ka. Na nalilinang pa nga kasi yun. Kasi nakakasali ka sa mga contest na pinapagawa ng school, na ipapamalas mo yung kakayahan at skills mo bilang isang estudyante. And the third component is the quarterly assessment. Here, to see if the children have learned from the teaching done by the teachers. Dito nasasalain kung talagang may natutunan nga ba ang mga estudyante sa tinuro ng guro. Dito makikita at sa puntos makikita kung talagang natuto nga ba ang mga bata. Kung talagang nag-aral nga ba sila. Diba? Doon makikita sa quarterly assessment table, dito makikita yung iba't ibang subject, yung equivalent ng component kung paano ginagraduhan ang mga bata sa iba't ibang subject. For the languages or English, AP, ESP, for the written works, 30%. Performance task, 50%. Quarterly assessment, 20%. For the science and math, written works, 40%. Performance task, 40%. Quarterly assessment, 20%. For the MAPE, EPP, and TLE, written works, 20%. Performance task, 60%. And for the quarterly assessment, 20%. Sa ating mga viewers or audience, FB Live by Zoom or YouTube channel, are you aware or have you heard or read the line, grade is just a number? For those who's watching or listening to this webinar, what kind of students were you when you were still studying? Or to the current students, are you the grade conscious person? Or are you the student who has madiskarte? Maaari niyong i-comment sa comment box o chat box ang inyong mga kasagutan at kung bakit. Para malaman natin kung bakit ganon. Pero for me, ako yung estudyante na minsan nako-conscious ako sa grade ko pag mababa. Yung ginagawa ko naman yung best ko, pero kulang pa rin. Minsan nga tinatanong ko sa sarili ko, saan ako kulang? Saan pa ako kailangan mag-improve? Tapos sasabihin ko, sige, babawi ako. Yung mga ganon, pero alam mo, naiisip nyo ko minsan, iba pa rin yung madiskarte ka. Yung madiskarte kang estudyante. Yung sumasabay ka lang sa kahit ano, kahit mababa o katamtaman lang yung grade mo. Masaya ka na. Kasi sabi nga nila, aanhin mo yung mataas na grade kung in the near future wala ka namang trabaho. Yung sinasabi pa nga nilang, mataas nga yung grade mo, matalino ka nga, wala ka namang trabaho. Alam mo, based sa karanasan ko, sa mga nakikita ko sa paligid, kung sino pa yung mga tao na akala mo walang mararating sa buhay, wala silang mga achievements na nakukuha nung sila ay napasok pa lamang sa schools. Pero ngayon, sila na yung may maayos na trabaho, may regular na trabaho, successful at tagumpay na sa buhay. Pero hindi ko naman sa sinasabi na pabayaan lang natin maging masaya tayo kung mababa yung grade natin. Ang gusto ko lang sabihin sa inyo at ipaabot sa inyo bilang isang estudyante na sumabay lang tayo sa agos ng buhay bilang isang estudyante. Huwag nating pahirapan yung sarili natin. Mag-aral tayo ng maayos. Yung bilang isang estudyante, hindi natin na pinahihirapan yung sarili natin. Yung sobra-sobra yung sa halip na pahinga mo na yung mag-aaral ka pa. Kasi nga grade conscious ka. Ang hirap pag ganun. Kasi yung isip mo ayaw na. Pati ng katawan mo. Pero kinakaya mo pa rin. Right? Dapat hindi tayo maging ganun. Yung pinapahirapan natin mismo ang sarili natin para lamang sa ikagaganda ng ating grado. Right? Meron akong isang quotes na naisambitin sa inyo bilang mga isang estudyante. Take some time of your ACADS to rest. Don't just take care of your grades, but also take care of yourself. For the second policy on students, absences and tardiness. A learner who incurs absences of more than 20% of the prescribed number of class or laboratory periods during the school year or semester should be given a failing grade and not earn credits for the learning area or subject. Every student who are listening and watching this webinar must know this policy. Dahil as a estudyante, nararamdaman ko yung kagustuhan ng isang guro na lahat ng estudyante niya makapasa, makatungtong sa panibagong yugto, na lahat gagawin niya. Diba? Bago niya i-drop o bigyan ng failing grade yung isang estudyante, ginagawa niya ng paraan. Ito karanasan ko to nung grade 7 ako. Meron akong isang kaklase na hindi na ilang linggo o buwan na siyang hindi pumasok. Na kung tutuusin, dapat nga i-drop na or lagyan ng failing grade ng aking guro. guro. So, ang ginawa ng aming guro, sa halip na lagyan niya ng failing grade or ng drop, pinuntahan niya yung kaklase ko. Tinanong niya kung bakit hindi na pumapasok, tinanong niya sa magulang kung ano yung problema. Na kaya pa namang bigyan ng grade ang anak kung gagawin lamang ang mga pinagagawa niya at ng iba pang guro. Pero, kung lahat ay ginawa na ng guro para hindi magkaroon ng failing grade or drop ang isang estudyante at walang ginawa ang estudyante, hindi na kasalanan yun ng guro. Kasi ang guro, dapat alam nyo na nagsasakripisyo din sila para sa kanilang mga estudyante. Kasi sila ang pangalawa nating magulang sa paaralan. At katulad ng ating mga magulang, ginagawa din nila ang lahat para lamang mapabuti tayo. Para lamang makapagtagumpay tayo. Na balang araw makikita niya ang mga naging estudyante niya ay sabay-sabay tutungtong sa entablado at gagraduate. Kukuha ng diploma ng sabay-sabay. Kaya be proud of our teacher. Right? Habitual of tardiness, especially during the first period in the morning or in the afternoon, is discouraged. Teacher shall inform the parents and guardians through a meeting if learner has incurred 5 consecutive days of tardiness. Dapat may paalam ng guro na ang estudyante ay may habitual tardiness sa mga magulang o guardian ng bata. Kasi baka hindi napapansin ng magulang na ang kanyang anak ay may habitual tardiness. Kung ang mga magulang ay nasa trabaho, hindi talaga nila makikita yon. Pero dapat ay sabihin ng guro para magkaroon ng kaalaman ang mga magulang kung bakit may ganon ang kanilang anak. Right? Third policy is for all students also. Read this excerpt of Bsed Order 54/2009. Activities, all PTA activities within the school premises or which involve the school, its personnel or students shall be with prior consultation and approval of the school head. Lahat ng aktibidad na gagawin ng PTA, ng personnel o ng students, dapat may approval ng school head. Dahil kung wala yung approval ng school head at ginawa nyo agad, basta-basta, kung may mga masamang mangyari man sa ginawa nyong aktibidad, ang school ay dawit. Kaya dapat, paggagawa tayo ng isang aktibidad at ang school ay involved, kailangan may approval ng school head. Kasi doon nila makikita kung pwede bang ilabas ang aktibidad na iyon o hindi. So, kailangan nating sundin ang policy na ito para maiwasan ang mga masasamang nangyayari na dawit ang guro, ang school, lalo na kayong mga estudyante. Right? Dapat malaman natin ang mga patakaran o alituntuning ito para maiwasan natin ang mga ganitong bagay na nangyayari. Financial matters such collection shall be made by the PTA subject to the following conditions. If collection of the school publications, P. Supreme Student Government or SSG, Developmental Fund, and other club membership fees and contribution is coursed through the PTA as requested by the concerned organization. The amount collected shall be remitted immediately to the school, SSG, or other student organization concerned by the duly it was collected. Sa financial matters, dapat alam din ito ng school head. At kung para saan ang mga financial na gagamitin, ang pera na gagamitin. At dapat ay ibigay din ito sa SSG at malaman kung para saan yung mga financial matters na ito. Right? The last is the policy on collection of contributions. Cognizant of the need of an organization for adequate funds to sustain its operations, a duly recognized PTA may collect voluntary financial contributions from members and outside sources to enable it to fund and sustain its operation and the implementation of its programs and projects exclusively for the benefit of the students and the school where it operates. The PTA's programs and projects shall be in line with the School Improvement Plan or SIP. The contribution should be a reasonable amount as may be determined by the PTA Board Directors. Dapat malaman ng PTA Board Directors ang mga ganitong collection. Non-payment of the contributions by the parent member shall not be a basis for non-admission or non-issuance of clearance to the child of the school concerned. Dapat hindi maging basihan na porket hindi ka nagbayad ng parent member ay gagamitin mo ito para hindi mapermahan ang clearance ng anak ng isang tao. Porket hindi lang nakapagbayad, hindi mo napepermahan ang clearance. Diba may mga ganong sitwasyon tayo. The contribution should be collected by the PTA treasurer on a per parent member basis regardless of the number of the children in school. And no collection of PTA contribution shall be done during the enrollment period. And no teacher or any school personnel shall be involved in such collection activities. Bawal ma-involve ang mga guro o any personnel sa mga ganong collection na nagaganap. Diba, sa ating school, laging sinasabi ng ating guro na bawal silang ma-involve sa mga ganong collection na aktibidad. Safekeeping of funds, all collections of contributions or proceeds of fundraising activities shall be deposited in reputable banking institutions as determined by the Board of Directors. The PTA's treasurer or duly authorized representative shall undertake the collection and shall issue official receipt acknowledgement receipt. In no case shall any school official or personnel be entrusted with the safekeeping and disbursement of collection made by the PTA. All disbursement of funds shall be in accordance with general accepted accounting and auditing rules and regulations. Also, PTA are prohibited from interfering in the academic and administrative management and operations of the school and of the DepEd in general. Bawal makipag-interfere ang PTAs in the academic and administrative management, lalong-lalo na sa operasyon ng school at ng DepEd in general. Engaging in any partisan political activity within school premises art policy in schools. Operating a canteen, school supply store, or being a concessionaire thereof inside the school or nearby premises, or offering these services to the school as its client either directly or indirectly. Selling insurance, PNID plans, or similar schemes or programs to students and or their parents, and such other acts or circumstances analogous to the foregoing ay policy din ng school. PTA officers and members of the board of directors are prohibited from collecting salaries, honoraria, emoluments, or other forms of compensation from any of the funds collected or received by the PTA. PTAs shall have no right to disburse or change any fees as service fees or percentages against the amount collected pertinent to the school publication fee, Supreme Student Government or SSG, Developmental Fund, and other club membership fees and contributions. Bawal silang mag-charge ng fees and services sa mga organization na iyon. In no case, shall a PTA or any of its officers or members of the board of directors call upon students and teachers for purpose of investigation or disciplinary action. The recognition of any PTA shall be cancelled by the Division PTA Affairs Committee upon the recommendation of the school head concerned for any violation of the above-mentioned prohibited activities and these guidelines. Thereafter, the school head may call for a special election to replace the board of directors of the PTA whose recognition was cancelled. Criminal, civil, and or administrative actions may be taken against any member or officer of the board of the PTA who may appear responsible for failure to submit the necessary annual financial statement or for failure to account the funds of the PTA. Okay? This is the end of my webinar. I hope you enjoy and you learn a lot in this webinar. For those who's watching and listening via Zoom, FB Live or YouTube channel, thank you for watching and listening to my webinar.
Thank you, Ms. Maria Cristina Pelagio. And now, for the continuation, let us all welcome Ms. Sheryl Ann Fababair from Colegio ng Luzon del Lipa to share with us the importance of policies and effective policy formulation and implementation in a community partnership.
Good day everyone! My name is Sheryl Ann Fababair, then from Colegio ng Luzon ng Lipa. I will be your first speaker for today. I know all of you are excited to learn more, and I hope all of you are still attentive and willing to listen just like you did to our previous speaker. If ever you have any questions or clarifications regarding to the topic that I'm going to discuss, feel free to speak it out. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to discuss the importance of policies. When we say policy, it provides guidance, consistency, and clarity on how an organization operates. This offers guidelines and principles to follow. And why does policy is important? Later, we will able to know that because that will be our main topic in our discussion. And we will able to understand the importance of implementing policies in the school. Schools in partnership with their community have their own picture of what they want to be. Ibig sabihin, ito ay ang kanilang vision statement. And so must offer services and must do what they are supposed to do. In short, this is their mission statement. in order to realize what they envision themselves to be. For this to happen, policies must be in place. At dito na nga pumapasok ang tinatawag nating policy o dito na involve ang policy. Observance of these policies ensures everyone in the school community to toe the line. If conditions are ideal, like when all members of the school community are perfect school heads, teachers, students, parents, non-teaching personnel, and other members of the outside community, there may be no need for a policy. Sinasabing hindi na kailangan ng isang patakaran sa isang paaralan at komunidad kung nakikita naman nila na hindi magkakaroon ng problema ang kanilang komunidad. But the truth is conditions in the school community and in this world are far from the ideal, and persons that make the school community are far from the perfect, and so the need for policies. Sinasabing walang perpektong paaralan at komunidad sapagkat hindi natin maiiwasan na magkaroon ng isang problema o suliranin sapagkat ang bawat isa ay may iba't ibang perspektibo sa buhay at iba-iba ang mga pag-uugali. Kung kaya't tayo nangangailangan ng isang patakaran na dapat sundin ng bawat isa upang maiwasan rin na magkaroon ng mga problema sa komunidad at paaralan. We may wonder as to why the Department of Education has issued very stringent policies and guidelines for PTAs in matters of collecting contributions. Even engaging in any partisan political activity within school premises is written as one prohibited activity. This is one of the reasons why policies must be implemented in the school to avoid such activities like engaging in any partisan political activity. There must a history to that. Perhaps malversation of funds and other forms of abuse happened in the past. At iniiwasan natin na ito ay mangyari pa sa kasalukuyang panahon. School's policy on the grading system is important for everyone concerned to know how grades are computed. Pagdating sa mga grades ng mga estudyante, may patakaran o sistema na sinusunod ang mga guro. Hindi basta-basta lamang sila nagbibigay ng mga grado. Both students and parents know how grades are drive objectivity. Percentage weights for each component are clear. Hindi lamang mga guro ang nakakaalam ng grading system ng mga estudyante. Nararapat na ipaalam din na sa mga estudyante at magulang kung ano ang grading system na sinusunod nila. Karaniwan sa unang klase ng pasukan, doon ina-inform ng mga guro kung ano ang grading system na dapat na kanilang sundin. Teachers are guided in their assessment practices. The grading policy ensures objective assessment practice. Without the grading policy, grading may become highly subjective. Kung walang grading system na sinusunod ang mga guro at halimbawa na magkaroon ng complaint ang magulang o ang estudyante, doon mahihirapan o maiipit ang guro sapagkat hindi nila maipapaliwanag kung bakit ganun ang grado ng kanyang anak. Similarly, if there are no policies on students' tardiness and absenteeism, students may just come in late or absent. Ito ang karaniwang problema sa mga estudyante. Laging late pumasok o minsan ay hindi na pumapasok. Kung paiiralin ang ganitong pag-uugali ng isang estudyante, maaaring maapektuhan ang kanyang pag-aaral. Kung kaya't ang isang paaralan ay nagkakaroon ng policy tungkol sa ganitong ugali ng mga estudyante. Policies on students' tardiness and absenteeism certainly will curb tardiness and absenteeism to ensure learning. At doon nga, kailangan na magkaroon na ng mga policy tungkol dito. Pang doon ay matatakot ng lumiban o laging late ang mga estudyante. Next topic that I'm going to discuss, it is also related to policy. Effective policy formulation and implementation in a school-community partnership. The policies on grading, student tardiness, and absenteeism came from above. Kapag sinabi natin above, ito yung nakakataas. Ito ay ang DepEd Central Office. At times, there is need for policies from above. Kailangan mo na ipaalam sa kanila kung magkakaroon ng isang policy sa kanilang paaralan. But, policies do not need to come from above all the time. Halimbawa, kung ang mga patakaran lamang ay sa loob ng classroom lamang nila i-implement. There are times when a school formulates a policy to address a local problem. In fact, this is how it should be in a school-community partnership. Ideally, a policy must not be formulated by the school head by himself or herself. Community and school need to cooperate to implement a policy in order to address a local problems. The school head must lead in the policy formulation process. The word lead implies that an effective policy formulation process must be participatory. This means that it is the best that the rest of the school and the community be involved. Dapat na lagi silang magkasama at magtulungan upang matugunan ang anumang problema sa kanilang komunidad at sa paaralan. At kailangan nilang gumawa ng mga patakaran upang matugunan ang anumang problemang mayroon sa bawat isa. Sabi nga, 2 good heads are better than 1. Besides, participation of school and community develops a sense of ownership of such formulated policy, which ensures a more effective implementations. School policies are effective when they are formulated with the participation of the members of the school and community, as this develops sense of ownership, which ensures implementation of the family. And this is the school empowerment in action. Aside from involving the school and community in a policy formulation, a school head must ensure wide dissemination and correct and clear understanding of the policy. So, policies must also be widely disseminated for the information of the entire system, school, and community, and must be understood correctly and clearly. For the conclusion of our topic, policies are intended to ensure that schools perform and realize what they have envisioned for themselves. School and community are partnered when it comes to implementing policies. In order to address local problems in school or in community, we must to implement a policies. That would be all. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something from my discussion. Please stay for the next speaker.
Thank you, Ms. Sheryl Ann Fababair. Let us all welcome our next speaker to continue our discussion, Ms. Joycee from Colegio ng Luzon ng Lipa, to share with us the competencies per school head or the NCBSSH.
Good day to everyone. I'm Joycee from Bsed Filipino 3A. And I'm one of your speakers in this webinar for this day. So let's start. But before we go on or we discuss about the national competency-based standards for school heads, let me first give you a brief introduction about the Chapter 12, which is the roles and competencies of school heads. And according to the Section 5, Republic Act of 9155, the said school head is both administrative and instructional leader. Wherein the instructional leader, they are supervises the instruction of the school. they having observations of teachers while teaching, conducting post conferences, also coaching and guiding the teachers they hired. It is used or they implement it for the assurance to assure the effectiveness of teaching of their teachers. From that, they will assure also the effectiveness of learning of their students. While in the administrative leader, they are more focused or more concerned about the physical environment of the school. They have fundraising or they raise funds to have money to build or a gaining or environment or effective environment for the learners. This is where to assure the effectiveness of the learning of the students wherein it is the main function of a school. So now, let's move to the National Competency-Based Standards for School Heads. The said NCB-SSH is enclosure to the DepEd number, order number 32, series of 2010, wherein these have a core principle, which is the school head are competent, committed, and accountable in providing access, quality, and relevant education for all through the transformational leadership and the high degree of professionalism. The NCBSSH, or the National Competency-Based Standards for School Heads, have its 7 domains. And the first domain is the school leadership. In the school leadership domain, it includes the developing and communicating BMGO. Or the BMGO stands for the vision, mission, goal, and objective of the school. As the school head, they promote their BMGO. And also include database strategic planning. This is where they plan about the informations needed in the school, and in strategic planning, the key components should be included, should be based, or the plan should be based on the key components, which is the key components are the BMGO, vision, mission, goals, and objectives. And next, that included to this domain is the problem solving and building high performance teams. As an instructional leader, they build teachers who are effective in teaching and also coordinating of others, and last, leading and manage changes. As a school head, they are lead to the changes that may happen to the school. Also, they lead to manage those changes. And we go on to the domain 2, which is the instructional leadership. It included or contains the assessment for learning as school head. And as an school head or instructional leader, as we discussed earlier, that they assess their teaching to assure the effectiveness of teaching. By that assessment, the second one that involved in this domain may occur. It is the developing programs and adapting existing programs. By doing the assessment to the school, they can develop and adopt those programs. And when they develop and adopt those programs, the school leaders should implement this to the school to assure the effectiveness of teaching and the effectiveness of learning. And for the last, that is included in the domain number 2, instructional supervision. Like for what I've said, school head as instructional leader, they supervises the instructional of the or instructions of the school. For the third domain, creating a school-centered learning climate includes setting high social and academic expectation. That's why, according to Brophy, when teachers have or set high expectation for students and provide tasks that are engaging and with high of interest, students may build their self-esteem. increase their confidence, and improve their academic performances. Second one for this third domain is creating a school environment that focus on the needs of the learners. This is where the school heads are called as the administrative leader. They are more focused and concerned about the physical environment of the school. They having fundraising, which they can get money to build a environment, an engaging environment for the effective learning of those students. That this is the one of the main function of the school, to have effective learning for the learners. The second one, or we go on to the HR management and professional development as domain number 4. This is where it involves, or it includes, creating a professional learning community. A professional learning community, or PLC, is a group of educators wherein they are met regularly, shares their expertise, and works collaboratively to improve the teaching skills and the academic performance of students. To create the said PLC, the school head had to recruiting and hiring educators who are willing and capable in teaching effectively, and who are willing and capable in improving the academic performance of these students. As a school head or leader, they manage the performance of teachers and staff that they hired or recruit. To assure the performance of these teachers, they having their post conferences or observations to assure the effectiveness of teaching. This is where the role of being an instructional leader can be seen again. For the next domain, or the domain number 5, which is the parent involvement and community partnership. They said, or according to the study, parents can be powerful contributors to their children's education. This is where both stimulating and reinforcing their children's learning. They can engage their child to study hard, and with their involvement and support, they can engage their study to motivate their learners or child to be having full performance for their classes. And for the external community partnership, this is where they support the needs of children and families with an intentional, enhanced, and supported academic, social, and emotional health experience in the school setting, as well as the other local agency and community-based sites. Those both families and community members are involved in the student learning. Students may improve their academic performance and gain advocates that promote their success, helping them feel more confident at school and taking on more rigorous schoolworks or classworks. In the domain number 6, school management and operations. School management means running the school along the desired educational policies. It takes into all aspects of the schools, like the policies, material and human resources, programs, activities, and equipment, and many more. In good school management, it motivates the best effort of the teachers and students. The school head manage the school operations and resources to assure a safe and caring and effective learning environment. While in the fiscal management, it is the process of planning, directing, and controlling financial resources. Last for this domain, or domain number 6, is the use of technology in the management of operations. It is have to ensure that the organizations are able to reduce the cost, improve the delivery process, standardize, and improve the quality. For the last domain of the NCBSSH is the personal and professional attributes and interpersonal effectiveness. This is where teachers' professionalism is defined as the knowledge, skills, and practices that the teachers must have in order to be effective educators. Effective communication skills that build a positive school environment are self-awareness, sending direct, complete, relevant, and congruent messages. Intrapersonal skills play a fundamental role in the work of a leader, whenever the work needs to be moved beyond the scope initially planned. Also, the being fairness, having honesty or being honest, and integrity, leaders should possess too. So, that's all for my discussion. I hope you gain knowledge about the NCBSH and its domains. And thank you.
Thank you, Miss Joycee. That was also an interesting discussion from our good speakers. To continue the discussion for the last chapter, we have our next speaker, Miss Lalaine Cornejo from Colegio ng Luzon, Lipa, to discuss the competency framework from Southeast Asian School Heads Edition of 2014.
Good day, everyone. My name is Lalaine A. Cornejo from Bsed 3A Filipino. Today, we are going to talk about the competency framework for Southeast Asian School Heads 2014 edition. There are 3 domains in this framework. The first one is the stakeholder engagement, the second one is the instructional leadership, and the third one is the personal excellence. Every domains have competencies and ways to enable the competency. Under the first competency, which is the stakeholder engagement, are number 1, promoting shared responsibility for school improvement. Number 2, managing education alliances and networks. Number 3, sustaining collaborative relationship with stakeholders. Number 4, managing school resources and systems. Number 5, managing staff performance. And number 6 is managing sustainable school programs and projects. In order to promote shared responsibility for school improvement, school heads should build trust and lead teams or communities for school improvement. They should also empower the community to work for enhancement of school performance. In managing education alliances and networks, school heads should communicate effectively with different stakeholders. They should also facilitate school community partnership and activities, promote consensus building, and manage conflict and practice negotiation skills. In order to sustain collaborative relationships with stakeholders, school heads should support community-based programs and projects, and they should also communicate school performance report to stakeholders. In managing school resources and systems, school heads should manage financial resources, manage learning environments, and manage system and procedures. In managing staff performance, the school heads should manage personnel requirements, support professional development of staff, and recognize staff performance. In managing sustainable school programs and projects, school heads should demonstrate program and project management skills and promote school-based programs and projects that support sustainable development. The next domain is the instructional leadership. There are 4 competencies in this domain. First, leading curriculum implementation and improvement. Second, creating a learner-centered environment. Third, supervising and evaluating teaching performance. Fourth, delivering planned learning outcomes. In leading curriculum implementation and improvement, school heads should manage curriculum implementation and promote sensitivity of diversity and differentiated instruction. To create a learner-centered environment, school heads should promote learner-centered activities, a healthy, safe, and inclusive learning environment, and a culture of peace and respect for diversity. In supervising and evaluating teachers' performance, school heads should apply appropriate models for supervision and evaluation and nurture teacher leaders. In delivering planned learning outcomes, school heads should promote team-based approaches, to instructional leadership, and manage assessments to improve teaching and learning. The last domain is the personal excellence, and it has 3 competencies. Number 1, managing personal effectiveness. Number 2, acting on challenges and possibilities. Number 3, pursuing continuous professional development. In managing personal effectiveness, school heads should lead by example, demonstrates transparency and accountability, practice a balanced, healthy lifestyle, take pride in one's profession, and deliver results. In acting on challenges and possibilities, school heads should manage priorities, exhibit decisiveness in addressing challenges, and exhibit an enterprising attitude. In pursuing continuous professional development, school heads should take responsibility for lifelong learning and advocate ASEAN values and perspectives. So that would be all for today. Hope you noted everything I've discussed and thank you for joining us today. Please stay tuned for our last speaker. Thank you!
Thank you, Ms. Lalaine Cornejo. And for the last topic for this webinar, let us all welcome Ms. Alma Roduta from Cornejo ng Luzon, Lipa to share with us what all about the instructional and administrative leadership and also the school head and the community.
Thank you, Ms. Riziel Ozenia. And before I start my presentation, I just want to give thanks to all participants who accept our invitation. And again, I'm Alma Roduta, one of the student of Cornejo ng Lungsod ng Lipa, and I'm taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Filipino. And my presentation for today is all about the domains and competencies for school heads in Southeast Asia. Like the National Competencies-Based Standards for School Heads or the NCVSSH for Philippines, the competencies for Southeast Asian school heads also includes domains for instructional leadership and administrative leadership. But first, let's talk about what is instructional leadership and its domain. And when we say instructional leadership, it's generally defined as the management of curriculum and instruction by a school principal. At dun pala, ang instructional leadership ay pinamumunuan ng school principal kung saan siya yung nagmamanage ng kung ano yung mga gagawin sa mga curriculum sa isang school. Nandun na ang principal yung siyang nagbibigay ng instruction sa mga teachers kung ano yung mga dapat na gawin at kung ano yung mas makakabuti sa isang estudyante. At kung meron tayong instructional leadership, meron din naman tayong mga instructional leaders. At ang mga instructional leaders na ito ay kailangan nag-encourage at nagsusupport na kung paano ma-improve ang mga teaching skills or practices para mas mapaangat yung achievement ng mga mag-aaral. And also, instructional leaders provide coaching and mentoring for the teachers in their school. Sa tingin nyo, bakit pa kaya kailangan ng mga mentoring or coaching ng mga teacher? Just comment in our comment section o kaya i-chat nyo lang sa ating chat box. Bakit nga ba? Dahil ang mga teachers ay kailangan din na ma-improve ang kanilang teaching skills at nandun na sa mga mentoring, doon sila nakakakuha ng mga bagong ideas kung paano i-approach yung mga topic na kailangan nilang ituro. Nandun na lilinawan sila o nandun na nakakakuha sila ng mga idea na dapat nilang gawin para mas matulungan na matuto ang mga students. And now, let's proceed to the 4 domains on instructional leadership that encompasses the 4 competencies. The first one is leading curriculum implementation and improvement. Halimbawa na lamang dito sa Pilipinas, ang naggumagawa ng mga curriculum guidelines ay ang DepEd. At ang mga nag-i-implement naman nito ay ang mga mas lower level, like principals, like school heads, ganyan. Dito, sa mga school, ang mga school principals ang siyang naglilid sa pag-i-implement ng mga bagong curriculum. At nandun din na tinitignan kung ano pa yung pwedeng i-improve na magagawa para mas mapaganda pa yung curriculum. Laging may room for improvement sa bawat ating ginagawa. Developing a curriculum that can transform an ordinary school into a school of excellence. Dahil sa mga improvement na ginagawa, nandun na halimbawa na ang isang school na ito ay maliit lamang pero lagi tayo nag-i-improve, nandun na makikita natin yung pagbabago at yung success ng isang school. Nandun na yung excellence ng mga estudyante ay nakikita na dahil sa mga ini-implement na bagong curriculum na mas nakakatulong sa mga student. The second domain is creating a learner-centered environment. Paano nga ba natin masasabi na learner-centered ang isang environment? Sabi dito, learner-centered environment is more than just providing information or teaching skills. It is an educational approach that focuses on the participants' concern and involves them in making decisions and solving problems. Pag sinabi nating learner-centered environment, nandoon nakita natin na nai-engage yung mga student sa kung ano yung ginagalawan nila. Halimbawa na lamang kapag nagtuturo ang isang teacher, hindi lamang si teacher ang laging nagsasalita, nagtuturo. Nandun dapat nakakapagpalitan tayo ng mga information na nanggagaling sa mga student. Hinahayaan natin na magbigay ng mga example ang mga student. Nandun na hinahayaan natin na express yung kanilang mga ideas. Also, learner-centered environment creates a safe environment for learners to consider changing behaviors. Nandoon pala na dapat pag learner-centered environment, kailangan safe yung student. Halimbawa na lamang kung magulo yung environment na ginagalawan nila, madumi, hindi siya makakatulong para mas matuto ang isang student. Halimbawa na lang mga estudyanteng malilikot tas nagtatakbuhan. Kung ang mga bangko ay nakakalat dyan, hindi maayos na naka-arrange, may possibility na sila ay matalisod, madapa, maa-aksidente sila. Nandun na hindi lamang yun problema ng isang student dahil siya malikot, magiging problema din ito ng teacher kasi siya yung mapagsasabihan kung bakit gano'n ang classroom, hindi na ayos yung classroom management. Nandun na always na ang teacher ang siyang mapagsasabihan kung bakit gano'n yung environment ng isang student, ng isang classroom. Kaya naman, ang mga teacher ay kailangan mag-create ng learner-centered environment para mas ma-improve ng mga estudyante ang kanilang mga behavior or attitude para mas maging better person sila in the future. The third domain is supervising and evaluating teacher performance. Kung ang mga estudyante ay ini-evaluate, ganun din naman ang mga teacher. Sila ay ini-evaluate at sinusupervise ng mga school principals para makita kung epektibo ba ang mga nagiging teaching skills nila, kung ang performance ba nila ay nakakatulong para matuto ang mga students. Kaya ang mga teacher ginagawa din ang kanilang best para ma-provide kung ano yung pangangailangan ng mga estudyante. Hindi lang sila basta-basta nagtuturo, hindi lang basta-basta binabasa ang mga aralin, sila ay gumagawa din ng mga lesson plan para masigurado ang pagkatuto ng isang estudyante. And the last domain is delivering planned learning outcomes. This is the statement that describes the knowledge or skills of student should acquire by the end of a particular assignment, class, or course. Ito yung dapat matutunan o dapat makuha ng estudyante matapos niya pag-aralan ng isang course o isang subject. Kung halimbawa na lamang kung ang Filipino ang iyong subject at ang kailangan mong matutunan pagkatapos ay ang mga antas ng wika, kailangan makita sa mga estudyante na nagagamit nila yung mga wika ng maayos. Learning outcomes, nandito din na makikita kung naging epektibo ba yung mga curriculum na ini-implement. kung ang mga estudyante ba ay natututo talaga sa mga ginagawa sa eskwelahan, kung anong mga tinuturo. And now, let's proceed to administrative leadership. This includes strategic thinking and innovation, stakeholders engagement, and managerial leadership for the enabling competencies for each domain. Yung mga domain na ito ay na-discuss na kanina ng ating mga naunang presenter or speaker. Kaya yung mga domain na ito hindi ko na masyadong maipapaliwanag kasi naipaliwanag na siya kanina ng ating mga naunang speaker. And about sa administrative leadership, sinasabi dito na whatever personal improvements school heads have on their personal effectiveness by pursuing continuous professional development redounds to improve administrative and instructional leadership. Laging magkaagapay o laging magkasama ang instructional leadership and administrative leadership. Kahit anong gustong gawin na innovation o improvement ng school heads, laging nakakasama si instructional leadership and administrative leadership para ma-implement ang mga kailangan na curriculum. Ever na si school heads ay may nais gawing improvement, lagi niyang kasama sa pag-i-improve ang mga instructional leaders and administrative leader. Hindi lamang si school head lagi ang aangat, syempre kasama din na matututo ang mga instructional leaders and administrative leaders. If ever na may nais i-implement or nais baguhin or nais i-improve, lagi siyang dadaan sa mga instructional leaders and administrative leaders para malaman kung ito ba ay magiging epektibo para sa mga student at kung ito ba ay i-implement at ipapagawa sa mga student. And now, let's proceed for my last topic for this day. Siguro tuwan-tuwa na kayo na at sinasabi niyong matatapos na ang ating webinar. Pero para sa inyo, nais kong sabihin na salamat. Hanggang sa pahuli ay nakatutok kayo sa ating webinar. At patuloy lang kayong matuto para sa mas ikauunlad ng inyong mga kaalaman. And now for my last topic, it's all about the school head and the community. At lagi nga sinasabi sa chapter na ito, sa buong chapter ng course na ito na malaki o partner ang school and community para mas ma-engage yung mga student sa pag-aaral. And in the NCVSSH, several strands and indicators point to this school and community partnership. The strands are as follows: involves internal and external stakeholders in formulating and achieving school vision, mission, goals, and objectives. The first one is explain the school vision to the general public. Kinakailangan na ma-explain o maipaliwanag kung ano nga ba yung mga vision ng isang school para naman malaman ng isang community kung maganda ba yung vision ng school na yun, kung susuportahan ba nila yung school na yun. Diba kailangan may maganda tayong vision para lagi tayong suportahan ng isang community. Kasi kung pangit yung vision na gusto mong i-implement, hindi ka susuportahan ng community. Ibig sabihin, hindi kayo magiging partner ng community sa paglago ng kaalaman ng mga kabataan. Ang pangalawa naman ay ang align the school improvement plan, annual improvement plan with national, regional, and local education policies and trust. Dapat naka-align kung ano, naka-align yung mga nais nyong i-improve sa school sa national and regional and local education. Kasi hindi nyo naman magagawa ang isang bagay na kayo lang. Kasi kailangan natin na upang tayo ay mag-improve at mas maraming sumuporta sa atin, kailangan inihahatid o pinababatid natin sa iba ang nais o layunin natin. Ang pangatlo, communicates effectively to internal and external stakeholders. Kailangan tayo ay nakikipag-communicate bilang sa school head, dapat siya ay nagkakaroon ng communication. Kaya nga tayo nasabi na lagi, communication is the key para magkaroon kayo ng magandang relationship. Kung hindi ko communicate ang isa sa isa, hindi magkakaroon ng magandang partnership. Kaya dapat lagi nating sinasaisip na kailangan nating i-communicate o i-address yung mga nais nating i-improve. 4, involve stakeholders in meetings and deliberation for decision. Hindi lamang ikaw yung magdi-decide kung ano yung gusto mo. Dapat kasama mo lagi yung mga stakeholders, lagi mong sasabihin sa kanila kung ano ba yung nais mong i-address. Hindi lang yung nakapag-desisyon ka na lang sa'yo, hindi pala nila nalalaman. Doon, magkakaroon kayo ng miscommunication sa mga ginagawa nyo kung hindi mo siya i-address sa mga stakeholders. Dahil bilang isang school heads o isang leader, hindi mo lang dapat kinakanya o sinasarili yung mga ideas mo at sasabihin mo sa mataas na agad. Dapat pinag-uusapan muna ito na kasama ang mga stakeholders. At ang sunod, provides feedback and updates to stakeholders on the status of progress and completion of programs and projects. Nandoon, nabibigyan mo ng feedback kung ano ba talaga yung mga nangyayari na sa mga project na ginagawa nyo, kung maganda ba yung nagiging flow, kung may problema ba, para mas maagapan kung may problema man, maagapan at matulungan ka ng mga stakeholders. Hindi yung problemado ka na, hindi mo pa rin alam ang gagawin mo at hindi mo sinasabi at hindi mo ina-address sa mga ka-stakeholders, di ba? Dapat tayo laging nag-a-address, nakikipag-communicate para kung ano man yung ginagawa, kung ito ba ay nagiging maayos o hindi, ay malalaman agad at hindi mo ito sinasarili. At ang sunod, creates and manage a school process to ensure student progress is conveyed in students and parents or guardians regularly. Dapat may mga ginagawa tayo na nalalaman natin kung ang student ba ay nagiging maayos sa pag-aaral, kung siya ba ay natututo. Nandun ay nire-record natin. Like, sa mga grades, dun malalaman. At sasabihin naman natin o i-a-address natin sa mga parents or guardians ng mga student kung sila ba ay nag-i-improve o kailangan pang i-improve at kailangan pang turuan o kailangan pa ng mga remedial class, ganon. Ang sunod, recognize high-performing learners and teacher and supportive parents and other stakeholders. Kailangan nire-recognize natin yung mga magagandang nagagawa o kung sino yung mga nag-e-excel sa isang school bilang isang school heads. At nandoon na pag nare-recognize natin yung mga magaganda nilang ginagawa, nandun na mag-i-strive pa sila lalo para mas mapaganda pa yung mga nais nilang gawin. At bilang isang school head, dapat tayo ay nagiging proud at sa ating mga students and teachers na nag-excel. And next, prepares financial reports and submits or communicates the same to higher education authorities and other education partners. Sabi doon, prepares financial reports. Diba bilang isang principal or school heads, meron tayong mga binabayaran na kuryente, binabayaran na tubig, na nagagamit ng school na kailangan nating i-address sa mga higher education authorities. Kasi malay mo, putulan na pala ng kuryente, hindi mo sinasabi, ang mapapahamak pa doon yung mga student kasi sila mawawala ng tubig, mawawala ng kuryente, at hindi sila magiging komportable. At bilang isang school heads, kailangan sinasabi or ina-address natin yung mga gantong financial reports para malaman ng mga authorities kung ano nga ba ang pangangailangan ng isang school. Next, maintain harmonious and pleasant personal and official relations with superiors, subordinates, learners, parents, and other stakeholders. Ang panghuli ay listen to stakeholders' needs and concerns and responds appropriately in consideration of the political, social, legal, and cultural context. Ang dalawang ito ay magkaugnay. Kasi kung meron kang magandang relasyon sa inyong mga kapwa, stakeholders or superiors or subordinates, nandun na makikinig ka rin sa mga hinaing at nais nilang sabihin. At bilang isang school heads, kailangan na tayo ay palaging nakikinig sa kung anong nais ng ating mga subordinates. Kasi sila yung mas nakakaalam kung ano ba yung kailangan pang i-improve at kailangan pang gawin para mas mapaganda ang ating mga eskwelahan. At sa pahuli, in the Southeast Asia Competency Framework, the following competencies strengthen school and community partnership. Yan, tatandaan nyo to. Ang una ay promoting shared responsibility for school improvement. Second, managing education alliances and networks. And last one is sustaining collaborative relationship with stakeholders. Yun. Kaya naman hanggang dito na lamang ang ating webinar at ako nga ang inyong huling speaker for this day, and I hope na kayo ay may mga natutunan sa lahat ng diniscuss ng ating mga presenters or speaker. And sana ito ay magamit nyo bilang isang sandata o isang kaalaman kung kayo man sa future ay magiging isang school heads or mga leaders, diba? Ito ay magagamit nyo. Kaya lagi nyong tatandaan lahat ng mga natutunan nyo sa ating webinar. Thank you, and magsesend kami ng isang link na kung saan doon ay pipilapan nyo yung form para makuha nyo yung certificate sa webinar na ito. Thank you sa inyong pagdalo sa ating webinar, and God bless.
Thank you for the last speaker, Miss Alma Roduta, and for all the speakers who joined to this webinar. Thank you so much. The whole discussion is much helpful for our listeners and viewers. We hope that everyone gained knowledge to this webinar.